Creative Thinking, and I just wanted to pop on real quick just to talk to you a little bit about staying connected in your relationship. And, I know that during this time of COVID and epidemic, or whatever you want to call it, this has been a really different and kind of weird time for us. So not only does everyday life just take us for a loop, and then we just become, ships passing in the night with our spouses, because we get busy with the kids, or we get busy with working or taking care of things around the house, that we forget to stop and connect. And then what happens over time is we begin to lose those interests in our spouses, and we kind of grow separately. We grow apart. Then when the kids are gone, or whatever's keeping us busy is out of the picture, then we're looking for ways to connect with our spouse, and we feel like we don't even know them anymore. So one of the things that I feel is really, really important is learning how to revamp your dialogue. So in order to do this, it's important to know not just to talk about what you don't want, but to also figure out what it is that you do want, and have that dialogue instead. So instead of saying that, it would be great for you to come home early and help me with the kids because I'm sick of this, but to just say, I am really struggling taking care of the kids by myself, and when you get home, it would be great. I understand you might need to take a few minutes, but it'd be great if you could help out in some kind of way, like either with homework or whatever, but to go into the extra dialogue of telling them what it is that would be helpful, instead of just sounding like you're, upset, or it kind of comes across accusatory, if that makes sense. So you want to be able to talk about what you want, and not just what you don't want, but you have to know how to verbalize that. So analyze that before you have the conversation. And then number 2 is you want to respond with intent to obtain interest. So when you're talking and having dialogue with your spouse, more than just a yes or a no, or wow, so you had a bad day at work, or what was so bad about it? Oh, my boss did A, B, and C. Well, and so what did you say to him? And then oh my gosh, and then they said this, and how did that make you feel though? How did you process that throughout the day? So being able to, this does 2 things. 1, it helps your spouse learn to pull out the dialogue that they're feeling, and learning how to express it. And 2, it helps you to understand your spouse a little bit better. Because you understand what they're feeling when certain things are being said. So it's a deeper way to communicate with your spouse. And then number 3, it would be great if you just acknowledge or show gratitude for the time spent together. Like, I really do appreciate that you've taken this time to stop what you're doing just so that we can have this dialogue. It just kind of makes your spouse feel like you appreciate them a little bit more. It's not always a hard conversation or a negative conversation, so it kind of leaves it open to have more dialogue like that, and then it builds that closer relationship. So the other thing is learning to acknowledge what is happening, and taking your own ownership is also very important. So remember, when you ignore the problem, then that equals neglecting the problem. So this is where we got the pile that just keeps sweeping it under the rug, and then you explode after so long. Well, to avoid doing that, you need to acknowledge that there's a problem. Yes, I am unhappy. I'm not sure what's going on, but I am unhappy, and this is something we need to evaluate. Instead of keeping things inside, learn how to express that to your spouse. I often like to give my clients an exercise together when they have problems communicating and pulling out that dialogue, is to just, throughout the day, the week, whatever, you just drop a question that you would like to know, even if it's about your partner's past. Because truth be told, a lot of times even if we have traumatic past, we may express that to our partners, but it's still superficial. I was abused as a child, and that's why I don't like yelling and screaming. But what you don't talk about is how that abuse really affected you. So then your spouse will understand what triggers you may have. Like, I just hated my mom always came in swinging. And whenever your spouse talks to you, then they're like animated or whatever. So now you want to express to them that might be a trigger for you. So when you put those questions in there, you write questions to understand your spouse a little better, and then you carve out some time once a week or once every other week, depending on your schedule, and you just spend time having dialogue, asking questions. You might pick 1 or 2 questions, depending on how much time you want to spend. If it's 30 minutes, you might pick 2 questions, and just ask each other these questions and have true dialogue about them. So the intent is for you to ask questions about the things that they say or the responses that they give for better understanding and more clarity. And the person who's getting the question is to answer those questions and learn how to speak about how it made them feel or how it makes them feel, so that you can open up to learn more about each other and learn how to have better communication and dialogue. So I hope those tips help.